So there's two things that I wanted to mention here. One is a realization that I came to using this program about how the world might possibly work, about how predestination, determinism could be a lot like this. Okay, so this line right here is the present moment, and it moves. I guess I have to zoom in to see it moving. The more I zoom in, the more it moves. But this line is the present moment, so this is what's going on right now. And this is a song, this is a music program. So the song is already determined. You might think by listening to music, if you didn't know anything about how it worked, that it's being made right there on the fly. And that, I mean with computer music that's already on CD, not watching a band playing. And they appear to be making it on the fly when they're playing it, but it might already be determined because the structure of reality might work this way, where this is the past, this is the stuff that already happened, this is the present moment right here, and I hit stop, that's why it's not moving. And this is the future, and you might think that you have choice in your actions, but you really don't. And so these would be events. This would be like me when I was in jail, and I'm standing there thinking about jumping off the railing, and I'm standing there looking at the ground thinking, and then this part right here would be me jumping and falling to the ground. This part would be me cracking my head open. This would be when I got to the hospital and got resuscitated, and so forth. Like, of course, the map structure of reality would look a lot more complex than this, but it'd be similar types of events to something like this. And yeah, so then this would be, if this was my life, this would be my future right here. These would be the events. I'm zooming out so that, and then move down. Obviously I'm making a long song, so this is 60 minutes. So let's just say that these are years right here. At 60, so 102 would be the equivalent of 62. So it's 62 years old. Each minute is a year in this situation. 62 years old, something happens to me and I die. And I just don't know it yet, and no matter what I do, I think that my actions are on the fly, and I can change the future and all that, but really I'm just part of an algorithm in some sort of thing, kind of like in the Matrix, how there's the Oracle that like sees the future, that knows everything, and just gives Neil a feeling that there's the illusion of choice when there isn't, if she can know everything that's going to happen. Something like that. And then this right here is a very rough draft of what I was seeing last time I tripped when I closed my eyes. So this is looking down a tunnel. Each one of these hexagons is a floor. So it's like looking down a narrow tunnel, and so like each one of these is 10 feet apart, and then this is 10 feet apart, this is 10 feet apart, so it goes a really long ways down, and then this is the thing that goes in the spinal cord at the bottom in the movie Altered Carbon, but it was shaped like a walnut, and these were like little hexagons in here. I just didn't feel like drawing them, and it was like emanating this like fantastically beautiful light, and the light was changing, and all around the very edges of each floor, like these are eyeballs right here. I just didn't feel like drawing all the eyeballs around each and every one of them. So there was eyeballs. I just drew like an eyeball on the edge, just one all the way down, so you could see like the scale. Like the eyeballs here would be bigger than these ones, The ones on this edge would be bigger than these ones, and the ones on this edge would be the biggest. And they were all winking at me, and the whole thing was slinking in and outwards like this, like the floor down here would go like down farther, and then it would go up farther, and the floors would all slinky too. The whole thing was like a giant slinky of floors, and there was some really Mandelbob. If you don't know what a Mandelbob is, just type in Mandelbob fractal and look at some of the images on there. And on YouTube, this was very Mandelbob-ish, and that's the part that I can't really remember and couldn't even try to draw if I wanted to. And that's the part that bothers me about closed-eye visuals on acid and shrooms and DMT. The stuff that you see when you close your eyes is insane. And these right here were like these little honeysuckles that were coming out from underneath the floors. So like this floor right here blocks sight from what's on this floor, even though you know this floor goes over, only fuck knows how far in that direction. This floor right here, like you'd be able to see what's on this floor, but then it'd be blocked. Your vision would be blocked by this floor up here. So these are like floors, and this is an open hole going through all these floors. And these honeysuckles were coming out like turning like this and going like up the thing, like turning 90 degrees and coming up like close to my face and then like sucking back behind the floors. And there was and they would just pop out randomly and like come at me like that and go back under. And the altered carbon spine, I forget what the thing is called in the show, but that thing was like, I could physically see the gleams of light, like when your eyes are wet and you're like closing your eyes, when your eyes are like, they have water in them, and then you close your eyes to a squint, and then you can see, like, if you're looking at light, like if you're looking at a TV screen, you can see like little gleamlets of light coming at you, like almost right up to your eye, and then when you open your eyes all the way, they go away. It was like that, but I wasn't squinting. It looked like I was squinting at this thing, and the gleams were like coming out like that, and they were sucking back in, and they were going in all these different directions. Because the surface of the altered carbon walnut was rounded like this on the top. So and they were going straight in whatever direction each one of these was facing. So you could imagine the farther they'd go, the more in their own direction they'd go, even if they were all doing it at once. If it would have been a smooth surface, perfectly flat, then I wouldn't have been able to tell the difference. It would have just looked like a cube of light coming up and down like that. But no, it was rounded on the top. So the light gleamlets were all going like different directions, like, and only making it like not even a third of the way up to me. But some of them would go farther than other ones, and then they'd go less far, like the next time, like the same one, and they'd all be their own color. They'd all be like this, like, none of them were really solid colors. They were all mixed colors, like pinkish, turquoise, and the whole thing was kind of like that. They were all like, not orange and red and green. They were like, well, yeah, orange. They weren't like primary colors and solid colors like black or white or any of that shit. They were all like mixed colors everywhere. And the stuff that I really wish that I could show you is the patterns on the floors. And they all had like their own color. Like this one would be like purplish blue. This one would be like orangish yellow. This floor would be like, they'd all have their own damn colors. And then it'd just like go suck in and out like that. And I actually got pretty lost in that, and I felt like it was so vivid that it felt like I was going to open my eyes and not even be in. I kind of lost my sense of where I was. I didn't fully straight up suffer amnesia. Like, I didn't know where the hell I was when I closed my eyes. I thought that I'd like come out of it like sitting on the next to the train tracks at Chatfield when I opened my eyes. And it made me feel like after that happened, I felt like I could wake up in a mental hospital one of these days, like not from that, but from going to sleep, when I go to sleep and close my eyes and have a really intricate dream, and then wake up and completely be somewhere else, like, and just have this, like, I think that's what happens when you go schizophrenia, like, people that think they're, like, multiple people, and, like, they have, like in that show Nurse Ratched, that black woman who thinks she's, like, the singer of an orchestra, and then she snaps back into it as, like, a different person when she, like, wakes up, or they give her a shot of something, like in a syringe, and then, of, like, Thorazine, and it snaps her out of, like, this other person that she is. I felt like, I don't know, I felt closer to that sort of thing being a possibility, and maybe one day actually happening, because tripping is kind of schizo. It's like, there's, like, other parts of your brain being used, so there's, like, other, like, sections of you that were, like, there's, like, these different perspectives of yourself, and they're, like, hidden from you, just like this, whatever the fuck it is you see when you close your eyes, and it's not always the same thing either. Even when you take the same psychedelic, the same batch, you close your eyes and you see something you weren't seeing last time. So it's almost like your brain is an antenna, and, like, it has channels on it, and depending on what chemicals are in your blood, the signal is different. Like, you're on a different channel, and each channel in your own mind has its own personality, and your personalities change depending on the chemicals in your blood, and you can see, like, but it's you. It's like you're not connected to the other parts of you just being sober. Those are the chemicals, serotonin, dopamine, testosterone, estrogen, adrenaline, DMT if I had another finger on this hand, and so forth. And so those chemicals construct you as you see yourself, and your brain gets wired in this, like, structure, this solid structure where you see yourself, where you know yourself. Like, this isn't something I would do. This is, you know yourself when you're sober. That's the you you've had to, that's the chemical combination your brain has had in its blood, like, probably 95% of your life. But when you start fucking around with the chemicals in your blood, the channels on your brain, the channels, like the TV, on TV, for the channels start changing. The signals are all there, but they all come from different places. Like, there's a station for each channel on TV, and there's a station for each you in your perspective, and it makes me wonder, actually, if you were to die, the signal of the, like when the TV, when you turn it off, that would be the equivalent of you dying. The signals that the TV is receiving is still there. So I was receiving this signal from somewhere. It's on a different channel. I could never see it when I'm sober. And it makes me feel like that when I die, the signals of me, of the dimensions that come to me, are still going to be there and accessible. I just won't have this dimension of the five senses that I use to fill my memory with, the bullshit that it throws at me, like a car accident, or something that's out of my control, or something that appears to be out of my control when it was, like, destined to happen in the first place. Referring back to what I was saying with Acid Pro. It's funny, they call this program Acid Pro. Sonic Foundry acid style. I just think it's funny they throw acid in there. To me, acid is like the most interesting section of channels you can turn the TV to, your TV, and see these other dimensions that are connected to you at all times. But you can only be on one channel at a time, I think. That's why you only see like one of these dimensions at a time, and why the weird thing is why don't you see the same channel every time you take LSD? You see a different channel because it's a different chemical, psilocybin, when you eat shrooms. Why do the channels vary if it's the chemical is the same? And my guess on that is that these channels are only here for a short time, like printer paper going through your head, like something you would see in a polygraph, how there's paper going like this, and your emotions are determining, like where the scribbles are, but the scribbles will never be the same again because your emotions are always changing. I think this stuff filters through your pineal gland, or whatever that is in your brain, your medulla oblongata, and it filters through there, and it's always changing. So, like, one day you'll see stuff, and then you'll never see that again because the signal of the information is changing. So the chemical is still the same, and it still accesses you to those dimensions, but on each one of the channels, what's there is no longer there and will never be there again. Well, or unless, for some reason it circles back in this giant loop, because sometimes I do see the same stuff. On acid, there's a reoccurring dimension that I see. I call the cybersonic dimension. And I couldn't even draw. It looks like a really beautiful, smooth, like inside of an alien spaceship made out of like stained glass and like these like different like metallic things that are making the shapes that the stained glass pieces are in all sorts of different shapes, but they all together make these like perfectly well-rounded like caves. It looks like a cavern of, it's of the cybersonic throbbing with beautiful radiant energy, and this thing was doing the same throbbing with, like, the center of this thing reminded me of the cybersonic universe, but none of this other shit did. This I called the hexagon world, and I've never seen this before, and I've tripped a lot of fucking times, and that's why I keep doing it, because the open eye visual is all fun and good, but the closed eye visual stuff is like literally on another dimension. It's beyond the mind's eye. And I say that because the mind's eye I would consider dreams. When you fall asleep and you dream at night, the shit we all know and love. And in dreams, I have never seen anything like this. This is like literally another dimension. I think a dream is a sub-fantasy of like a collection of your memories of this world that we're in, whatever it is, and why you can't wake up from a dream and reminisce with somebody about what you guys did, because it's your sub-fantasy, even though somebody else was in your dream. But there's no people, there's no objects that are familiar from this world like there are in dreams. These are other dimensions that are connected to you, like running through your pineal gland or whatever part of your brain that filters this shit. Your third eye signals on other stations, or it might all be, I mean, I wish I knew which one of those it was. If it's all like on one like piece of filtering paper that goes through there and just the worlds are different. Like they change, like the events in Acid Pro, like for a while, for this little bricklet right here is going to be this shit, and then this next little bricklet would be like, the next day, if I were to trip again and see the cybersonic dimension, this would be the voodoo, like the face mask, totem pole shit that I see. sometimes. And yeah, so I wish I knew which one it was. I would like to believe that it's like the TV and there's signals and there's many other channels and these dimensions are just always like this, but your brain connects the neurons differently when you take psychedelics. So the neurons have to be connected in just a way to see this one. They have to be connected in just a certain way to see the cybersonic world. And there's so many different ways you can connect the neurons that even though these dimensions are always the same and always there, that's the one I'd like to believe. And that's the one I'm sticking with.